Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome to this week's card. Today I am coloring this little kitty with some Peerless Watercolor. I'm using the Some Odd Girl Hipster Pets stamp set and some Strathmore watercolor paper. I love this stamp set. I used the fox last week. It's so adorable. I'm using the cat today. And then here are my swatches of Peerless Watercolor. And I'm posting another video today on these watercolors and how to use them and what they're like, so be sure to check that out. And then I've got an aqua painter, which is how I'm going to put the watercolor onto the paper. So first I'm going to start off with my image. I'm going to stamp it using some Versamark ink onto my watercolor paper. I'm going to swipe it first with an embossing buddy, which is going to remove the static from the paper so I don't get any stray black embossing powder outside my image. So I'm just going to sprinkle it on. I like to emboss my images when I'm watercoloring because it makes it a lot easier to stay in the lines. Alright, I'm using two different kinds of brown and an aqua painter. And so it takes me a little bit to sort of get the flow of my aqua painter just right. What's great about these colors is they blend really well. I tend to add a little bit too much water up front because I'd rather have too much water than not enough water, because then your color is too dark and you can always make it darker. Anyway, so whenever I get too much color on my brush, I just wipe it off on a tissue and I start over. So as you can see, I put on a lighter color, and now I'm going back in with some more of that same color to make it a little bit darker. So layering this color is really, really easy, and it makes it easy to shade and give you good depth and perception. So this is the same color, and notice that I'm getting, when I make it darker, it's almost a different color. So you get a wide range of shades when you use just one color. So I'm just doing the whole thing in this Bismarck brown, and I'm making it darker in the shadow areas. Now notice that sometimes when I put the color on, it's really dark, and if I do that, then what I do is I wipe the color off my brush and I just apply water, and the water will pull the color out of where you applied it to the paper and kind of pull it across into the white area. And so now I'm going to do the same thing with the head here. These are artist quality watercolors, by the way, and so they're really easy to use because they just go on so well. So I'm just, using another color of brown here, but it totally changes the image, and I can put it on top of my Bismarck brown, and it's not going to take away that color. So it's just going to put the color on top. And so this brown is a little darker, and so I'm applying it in the shadow areas. I actually tried using a brush. I prefer the aqua painter because I feel like I have more control over the water that's coming out. I feel like every time I dip a brush into water, I start all over with how much water's in there, and I don't know how much water's in there. So I like to just keep a constant flow of the same water with the aqua brush, or aqua painter I should say, I think it's called. Anyways, I'm just going through here. I'm adding this reddish brown just for highlight. And you can see how the image is really coming together on the left-hand side versus the right-hand side when you add this other color. And it's really amazing that you can get all this color and depth using just two colors of this watercolor. So that's another time when I applied the dark color and then I just put water on top of it. So you just kind of have to play with it and go back and forth until you get the shading that you like. You can see that I'm dipping my brush into the same spot every time, and I'm still getting a very concentrated, vibrant color. So even though it looks like there's not much watercolor on this small, flat little piece of paper, there's actually a lot of color on that small, flat piece of paper. I'm just going to do the ears at the top with the dark brown. And then I did brown on the inside of the ears because I just wanted it to be a little bit of a base brown. And now I'm going in with a little bit of pink. And I actually put a little bit too much on there, and I'm not very experienced with these watercolors, so this is really the second time that I'm playing with them. So what I'm doing here is I'm applying water and then dabbing it with a tissue, then applying water and dabbing it with a tissue just to lighten it up a little bit. And I did the same thing with the nose. Okay, now I'm going to put this cat on a table, and I'm using my much wider Ranger aqua painter. And I'm just going to pull a little bit of color. This is a very, very vibrant color. You have to be careful not to get too much on your brush. And so I drew a line at the top when I had a lot of color on my brush. And that kind of creates the edge, and then I'm going to work it downward, and it's going to get lighter and lighter as I come toward the bottom. And then I decided to take my smaller brush to make the shadow for the cat, and I just really started right at the edge of the body and moved outward. And it was pretty simple to do. I'm going to have more shadow on the left because the light is coming from the right. And you don't really need much. Alright, so I'm back to my big brush, and I'm being really careful because I don't want to mess up my background after I spent so much time on the cat. So I'm doing a very, very light application of the blue because you can always go back and add more. So I'm just going to work this around, and I actually wet the cardstock on the left side here, and that made it a little bit easier to put the watercolor down. And I wanted it to be a little bit blotchy but still blended together. Alright, so here's where I made my mistake. I let the right hand side dry too much before I applied this purple. And I just wanted a very light touch of purple to blend in with this blue. So as you can see, I'm really putting a lot more water on it to get that color out. So what I should have done is I spent so much time with that blue trying to get the right amount so I wouldn't put too much blue down that I don't know why I just did that with the purple. Anyway, so I put a lot of effort into trying to get these lines out, and I think I did a pretty good job. Mostly I just applied water and then I blotted with a tissue. Applied water, blotted with a tissue. My paper started to pill up a little bit, which I wasn't so happy about, but I guess I'm learning you just have to be careful because you want to make sure that your brush is really wet before you apply this color because it is just so vibrant. So I'm putting some more purple on the left to kind of balance out the right. Overall, I think I was able to kind of remove that purple line pretty well, and I mostly cut it off when I trimmed the piece back. Anyway, so that's all I did for the background of the cat, and now I'm adhering it to a piece of basic gray cardstock by Stampin' Up. And I've got these paw prints that came, I think it's some kind of dog set by Hero Arts. I can't remember the name. I'll have it on my blog. And I'm just stamping these paw prints going toward the cat in soft granite. And then I've got my little hoot set from Hero Arts, which I love, and I'm using the sentiment from that. And I put a little, put the Stamp-A-Majig on there to make sure, just in case I need to stamp it twice, it always stamps in the same place, and I actually didn't need to, so. But just in case, I like to do that. And I'm just going to put this panel on top, and this is a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch folded card base. And that's it. So I really wanted to keep the focal area just the cat with the background, and make everything else just sort of, you know, on the outskirts. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Check out my tutorial on the Peerless Watercolor, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.